Hello, welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we are continuing with the possible failure of the market and its consequences. This is actually the second part of the video. We have already started the possible failures of the market and its consequences. I'll be giving the first part, the link of the first part in the description box, so that you can able to link. Uh, this video with the previous video which we have done. Okay, so in the previous video we have mentioned regarding the externalities, and we could see that externality involves the decision making by one economic entity affecting the other economic entities, or the production function of one economic entity influencing other economic entities, and there can be both positive as well as negative effects. So all these things were result in the previous video, and from that we could understand that externality led chain effects or third party effects or neighborhood effects. So this could be classified into several things. For example, if externality of one producer is influencing the other producer, I mean, if the decision making of one producer affecting the other producer, and which is something that could not be priced, this is known as externalities. If the action of one firm provides reciprocal benefits to some other firms, and there is a kind of positive externality in the arena of production. For example, a motor training school in a locality gives driving lessons to would-be drivers. I mean, the ones who wanted to be drivers against the money payment. So they are accepting some payment and they're providing the service of uh, driving training. After successful training, they get absorbed in companies and factories. However, the companies do not incur any expenditures towards training the would-be drivers, because they are taking the ones who are already trained in driving. Thus, cost of these companies are reduced. This means that SMC, I mean the social marginal cost, is less than the private marginal cost, or the marginal cost. When we say we are usually referring to the private marginal cost, here SMC is less than private marginal cost. Okay. And negative externalities would result if the motor training school, in the name of imparting driving lessons, engages more cars and lorries, thereby overcrowding the roads. And this would adversely affect the movements of other goods as well as services uh, um, to other factories. I mean, if the goods, if other factories are using the road services in order to transport their goods from one place to another, uh, and this would lead to a congestion kind of situation, and the existence of the training drivers, etc., by some other producing entities would create some congestion on roads, and this will create some kind of negative externality. This means that the SMC, which is the social marginal cost, exceeding the private marginal cost. Now, having understood the externality created by one producing entity on other producers, let's understand the externality created by producer on consumers. A positive production externality benefiting consumers may arise if the prospect of jobs of local people in the motor training school improves, so that the living standards also improve. A negative production externality harming consumers arises when the motor training school creates noise pollution in the area. Coming to consumption on production, that is the influence of consumption on production, or how a consumer is creating externality on producer. This is the case when person's consumption has some effect on production, which could be a favorable impact or unfavorable impact. Positive externalities in this category are theoretically possible, but in practice they are little importance. They are of little importance. Negative externalities would arise from overcrowding as well as congestion caused by plying of more cars than the road condition permits, and this will lead to a situation of increasing costs of transporting goods of many of the producing entities. Coming to the influence of one consumer uh, uh, taking decisions and the influence of the same on other consumers or other consumer. This is a case when a person's consumption has got both favorable as well as unfavorable effect on consumption of some other members in the society, or the economy. Positive externalities would arise if a man listens to a news or song on radio that is not owned by him. Negative externality would arise if noisy radios turned in by someone uh, uh, in the surrounding, and which would hamper the study of students who are preparing for some kind of competitive examinations. Now, having dealt with externality, let's understand the role of public good here. We have already tried to understand the meaning of public good, and we could see that it's a good which has got the characteristic features of non-rivalry and non-excludability. I have already done a video on public good. If you have not watched that video, I will be providing the link in the description box. You can use the same in order to have a good understanding of public good. Okay. When there are externalities, as we could see, the market fails to achieve social efficiency. Free market cannot work efficiently when government provides a category known as public good. If all public goods are to be produced under competitive conditions, there will be a situation of underproduction and no production of such goods. For example, examples of public good are defense, health, education, etc. And we know that all these things are different from what we call as private good. Private good are good owned by private individuals, like cars, computers, clothes, your possessions. I mean, the possession owned by each and every individual, it is owned by a private party, so it's known as private good. Benefits from public good would flow to all members of the society, while private good, the benefits of the same usually go to the owner of that particular good. Unlike private good, one does not find any market for public good. Good whose benefits are enjoyed by public and does not cost anything extra to them is known as public good. Anything that government provide is called a public good. An extreme case is positive externality. Uh, uh, Extreme case of positive externality is public good, because if you're consuming public good, that means that you are enjoying some benefits, or you are benefiting out of the consumption of public good, and you are not losing anything. That means that it's creating some kind of positive externality, because you are not charged anything for using using the services, or using the uh, benefit arising from public good. There's a concept of externality enters into the definition of public good. Benefits are internal if the good in question is a private one, and because we could see that there's no third party effect of spill or effect on above the effect here. Whenever an individual purchases a car or a washing machine or some other commodities, he or other members of his family would receive benefits after consuming it. But in the case of defense, police, etc., we could see that all the citizens are benefiting, and the benefit are thus external to all. Whenever such goods are produced, no individual could be excluded from enjoying the services of these goods, and that means that no price is paid for it. Consider fire protection, which is a good provided by the government. When a fire breaks out in some house or building or whatever it may be, the fire brigade personnel would help in extinguishing the fire, so that it does not spread to the entire locality. That means that the entire locality is benefiting out of the service provided by this fire protection team. As a result, everyone in the house is protected even without paying anything for the service which they receive. In other words, you could see that every member in the locality is considered to be a free rider, because you are not paying any extra cost or extra price for benefiting out of the service given by the fire protection team. As far as public goods are concerned, there is an incentive to free ride for all citizens. It's difficult to preclude anyone from using a public good. Those who do not enjoy benefits from good have an incentive to avoid paying for them, and those who enjoy it have an incentive to free ride. Users of such goods are tempted to become free riders, people who accept benefit without paying a share of the cost of providing these benefits. Because you could see that there is some kind of positive externalities. There's a free rider aspect with respect to public goods, and private goods do not have any free rider problem, because you are purchasing something after you are paying for that. If you own some computer, because you have already paid for the computer. When you buy the computer, you have paid and brought the computer. And coming to the features of public good, we can see the first feature is non-rivalry. That means that public good is considered to be non-rival if its consumption by A does not reduce the consumption by another individual B. Consider the malaria eradication program. Whenever such a kind of program is undertaken by the government, it is meant for all the citizens of the economy. So, since the benefits of such kind of program would go to all the individual, I mean each and every individual in the panchayat or municipality or corporation. Right. Provisioning of such kind of a good to additional people that does not involve any kind of additional cost is considered to be an important aspect here. On the other hand, you'd see that if you're going for private good, this is rival in the sense that the consumption by one person would reduce the consumption of other person, because this will reduce the amount available for the other person to consume. Whenever a car owner purchases petrol from driving his car, the other individual gets only less petrol, because if there is some 6 liters of petrol and somebody has purchased some liters of petrol, when the next person comes, what happens is that he will be getting only the remaining portion. That means that if one of the person is purchasing, that will reduce the amount available for the remaining persons who would like to purchase the same product which is mentioned here. Now, the second aspect or the second characteristic feature of public good is non-excludability. That means that you cannot exclude a person from consuming the public good. This is non-exclusive in the sense that once it is supplied to individual A, all other individuals are also free to consume this product. Nobody is exempted. These cannot be excluded from using the street light even if they like darkness. But exclusion is possible in the case of private good. Once a commodity is purchased by A, he can exclude another person from buying it because it's already brought by another person, right? Or if A does not pay for a price for private good, he is excluded. That means that if a person is not paying for a good, that means that he is not capable of paying for that good. He won't be able to buy that good. That means that he is excluded. Public good being non-excludable is available even without paying any price for them. In fact, there is no incentive to pay for public good since people get free benefits from public good, which is known as a free rider problem. Because of all these characteristics, free market does not provide such goods. If these goods are produced at all, we could see that these could be provided only by the government. No private individual would supply public good to the society or economy, because we know that private individuals are always motivated by profit, especially when we are referring to producers. These producers are always motivated by profit, and public good, if it is produced and distributed, if it is produced and distributed to all the public, what happens is that there won't be any profit coming to the producers, because the people won't pay for the public good, and public good is something which the benefit of which you enjoy without paying a price for that. So it is only the government who is capable of distributing public good to the benefit of the economy or the welfare of the society. For convenience, let's assume that all goods produced in the public sector are public goods. However, there are some goods which are consumed by everyone if it is provided. No one can reject it when it is consumed, such as carbon emission from car. This feature, which is non-rejectability, is a peculiarity of public bad. You have to understand the difference between public good and public bad. So, when as in the case of public good, the public bad too has got some features. Coming to a public good and socially efficient output, whether this public good lead to socially efficient kind of situation, we have to take a situation an optimal quantity of private good is available when demand of PMB, that is a private marginal benefit, equals the supply of marginal cost. For public good, output would be expanded to a point where social marginal benefit equals social marginal cost. But a market demand curve obtained through horizontal summation of all the individual demands curve does not reflect the social marginal benefit in the case of public good. This is because public good is consumed jointly whose benefits cannot be isolated. Let's assume in situation there are two people in an economy. Okay, we are just concerned two persons and just name them A and B, and the demand curves of private good of X are represented by curves dA, which is the demand curve of good person A, and dB, which is the demand curve of person B, and both are consuming good X. Okay, and the prices at OP, and A demands OA good and B demands OB amount of good. The market demand curve is known as dA plus B, which is obtained by adding both A's demand as well as B's demand together at the price OP. And dA plus B is horizontal summation of dA and dB, and OP is the market price. Okay, if you look at the figure here, AE is equal to BF is equal to MG. It follows that the PMB, I mean the private marginal benefit of individual A and B, would be equal to the marginal cost, especially when you are going for this kind of allocation. Here the demand curve D is equal to summation of PMB, which is equal to SMB, by assuming vertically the individual demand curve for A as well as B. This is of the fact that both the individuals consume the same amount, that is OM of public good, at price OP. Marginal benefit of OM unit of public good would come to the extent of NM to person A and NR to person B. Thus, the total social benefit is MT, which is equal to Mn plus Nr. Since public goods are non-rival by nature, total demand curve or the total social marginal benefit curve is derived by the vertical summation of all the individual demand curves. The price that the society would pay for OM amount of public good is OP, that is OPA plus OPB, the price which person A is paying as well as the price which person B is paying. The efficiency condition for public good is SMB, that is social marginal benefit, is equal to sigma PMB, private marginal benefit. Both should be equal in the case of optimal situation. Socially efficient output of a public good is now given by the intersection of the social marginal cost with the social marginal benefit, that is optimal output is OM. However, this efficient situation is incomplete since it's very difficult to estimate the social marginal benefit for all the individuals as well as the social marginal cost. Further, public good is non-exclusive because there is no way to provide public good without benefiting everyone. Beneficiaries of public good do not find any incentive to pay for it, so there exists some free rider problem. Each individual pays an amount equal to this marginal benefit for OM as if you're going for socially optimal provision of public good, but individual may not behave in this way. It may happen that A can enjoy public good assuming that B will purchase, and A wants to be a free rider and A hopes that he gets social good for nothing. As a result, no one will be able to determine OM, which is a socially optimal level of good, which would maximize social welfare, because of free rider problem. Everyone has an incentive to depend upon the other members of society rather than providing them for themselves. Such behavior would cause a delay in investment decision. It is the government that takes the provisioning of such good. Nobody would take up the incentive to distribute public goods in the economy because it does not provide any kind of profit to the ones who would distribute good in the public good in the society. So nobody would take that kind of a strain. Since people are unwilling to share the cost of public good, those must be subsidized or provided by the government if they are to be produced efficiently. So that's all. We'll be discussing the third part very soon. I welcome you to my Telegram channel as well as Telegram group to discuss your doubts. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel, and thank you for watching.